And my take of those people, they're not the ones who created the rules 30 years ago. My impression of those people, and one of whom, incidentally, is David Sundstrom, who is the Chief Financial Officer of Sonoma County. He's on the GASB board. He has a national reputation for going into Orange County after bankruptcy and cleaning it up. My sense of those people is they intend to do what they're doing because they know, as financial professionals, what a mess has been created by the current rules. They know it. I mean, they convince me that they understand that their organization's rules have created massive debt that shouldn't have ever happened. There is going to be political pressure, and one reason why I talk positively about GASB is a lot of pension reformers don't talk positively about GASB because they wanted a lower discount rate to be used. And I think we need to build GASB's credibility up instead of tearing it down. Because as soon as a lot of people see what these numbers are going to look like, they're going to attack it.
Yeah. Shoot the messenger.
Yeah, and well, we've got to build, and that's why I focused on the fatal flaw. That is the fatal flaw with the current system, and who can argue that? The payments of a debt create the debt? And we have to win that poor argument that this is not a political move, this is financial reality that's being described. And it's in everyone's interest to understand what's really happening. So, I expect GASB 68 to be attacked. And I think those of us who want to see this shift in much more accurate, and it is at the technical level far more accurate than what goes on today. And for those who say that, well, it should have been a lower discount rate, the debt's really higher, one of the things I ask them is, how much difference would it make if they set a 10-ton megaton bomb off 100 feet above us versus a 100-ton megaton bomb? In both cases, we're dead. And GASB 68 is going to have such a powerful impact even without lowering that discount rate. Let's not make it easier for those who want to get rid of it to do so. Let's build up its credibility and defend it.
Just to let you know, when there's a whole process in going through to get the GASB through, and there were comments, and CalPERS wanted them to delay it forever. So it's been through one process in turn before it was issued on when it was going to be implemented. Yes. So it wasn't like, oh, this just came out of nowhere. There was a whole process. So they're going to be a little tough to suddenly say, let's put off, because I know CalPERS tried to delay the implementation, and I think they lost that game. So sorry, go ahead.
Why is it called GASB 68? Because that's the year they should have started this?
There's a whole series of them. It's just a statement.
They established their principles by issuing standards, and the standards are numbered in sequence. So it happened to be the 67th.
But it's a good joke. And
I know, but I have to
that it would have,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, excuse me. If the counties start making more money on their investments, if the economy improves, hopefully, is that likely to have a big impact on paying off the debt?
Well, of course, better times are better than worse times. I've got this graph that kind of shows the situation. The theory of pension funds is that, say, in the old days you had an 8% return on investment and that was your target. Well, sometimes you're going to make more and sometimes you're going to make less. And then you're going to make more, and so that your funding is going to go like that also. What our problem is, we've been doing that on a downhill slope.
Yeah.
So that, there's going to be times when you come up again, but the fundamental trend is that way. And we're in a little bit of an improving economy, but there will be another recession. And if you look at the average time between the troughs of recession since World War II, it's anywhere from 1 to 3 years from now. That's just the averages. Is it going to happen? Nobody. You can really make a fool of yourself trying to guess exactly when it's going to happen. But is it going to happen? Yes.
Did you want to clarify something?
Yeah, I just want to
He's
speak
on
to
the
that.
pension board, so.
I just want to speak to that point there about,
know, if our interest earnings are better every year, in 2008, in fact, this last year was 14.1%. Will it dig us out of the liability? It can if that's all that we do to it. But if you come to our meeting next week for the retirement board,
I will be there.
good. Siegel will be presenting again.
Oh, yeah.
Their study on the economic assumptions we use as part of what goes into calculating our liabilities and how we pay them. And they're proposing that we drop our assumed return rate from 7 3/4 to 7 1/4, a whole 50 basis points. If we do that, of course, then that drives up your liability all over again. So your liability, I think you always have a liability, and it's always moving one way or another because of changes in assumptions or changes in the market, how your returns are. I don't know if you ever completely get away from having a liability, except in very few cases where maybe they're 100% funded or more. But for most of us, we're always just under 100%.
On that same subject, would that also increase the cost to the employee and the employer? The county?
If they lower,
Yeah.
They lower the rate?
well, that's why they keep it artificially.
Well,
Hi.
Yeah.
something I didn't say in this presentation that I should have, and what you just reminded me. If a big unfunded liability develops, it necessarily means that the pension expenses that were reported previously have turned out to be too low. The real pension expense was more. You got to understand that pension expense is based on the actuary's assumptions. Thousands of assumptions. They're never going to be exactly right. It's going to be above or below. But if a big debt develops, one way or another, it means the expenses in the past were reported too low. They were actually much higher, and the contributions were too low. And one of the weird things that I've started to perceive here is the current system creates bizarre negative incentives for employees and retirees. We should have incentives that should make them want to see their pension funds strong. But less money is taken out of their paychecks if the behavior that makes pension funds weak happens.
Yeah.
And it's a bizarre negative motivation that the system creates. And I could give you specific examples in my county of just mind-blowing stuff that they've done. And they don't have to worry about it because it's a guaranteed benefit.
We're gonna have to call this right now. He's going to stay around for questions, and we'll be sending out some material. But the critical part of this is, and I think that he's done an excellent job. If it's not right, we're not charging the right amount, and everything is therefore screwed up through the entire government chain. I mean, that's really the problem. We're not recognizing the correct expenses. We're putting things off to the future when that shouldn't be happening, because that just makes the future worse. And we should be, as a person trained as an accountant, the matching principle rules. You should be matching your expense per revenue. So that's really important. But it is going to have implications, and they are going to scream bloody murder when they see these numbers. And I'll be there to say, oh, yes, I am that smaller person. I told you so.